No, I did not spread it. Okay, Margaret spread it. Margaret should look in the mirror and say, I regret telling my friend that went rogue on me. Okay, so Margaret should shut her big mouth. I never spread this rumor. This woman was adamant about getting this message to us. And yes, we did have it. We had no intention of bringing it up at reunion, by the way. Okay, nothing about Melissa.
So much has already happened. So tell us, how are you feeling about the season so far?
I mean, I think it's a great season. I'm even like interested in watching. Usually I fast forward the other boring people and just watch my scenes. Now I just fast forward a few select few.
I can imagine who those few select few are, but
leave it up to the imagination. I'll say like Margaret, I'll leave it to your imagination.
oh my gosh. Well, I have been loving Olivia this season and all of her comments.
Me
Oh,
too.
she is hilarious. She is
She needs
so
a camera
fun.
on her 24/7. Like
I mean,
sometimes I even think that would be dangerous. It's not 24/7.
yeah.
Some of the things she goes to school in high heels.
So funny. And that nose comment, I like started screaming, laughing. I could not control my laughter.
I was so proud. Truth be told, I don't know if it came across or if you guys were able to. I was not angry. I was not
No,
insulted. I was like, oh my God, that was a good one. That was a good one.
that
I
was
like
a good
that one.
shade. That was a
good one. That was
that was a
very
good shade. She's
yeah.
learning from you. I mean, hello.
She's attached to me by the hip, so I'm not surprised. But
Well, I love it. I've like you said, I've been loving this season. It's so good. So much drama already, which we need to talk about because you're involved in a lot of it. Are you surprised or are you like, of course I'm involved?
I mean, come on, like we're an ensemble cast. We all need to participate.
We got to talk about Margaret though, because we did talk with her also a couple weeks ago and
I'm so sorry for you.
oh my God, the shade. Well, she told us that you had this rumor about Melissa, you and Teresa, and you were sitting on it for a while, planning to tell it. You were trying to tell it at the reunion. It didn't really work. Then you waited until the cameras came up to bring it up again. So I want your side of the story. What even is this rumor? Is it true? Why do you regret spreading it?
No, I did not spread it. Okay, Margaret spread it. Margaret should look in the mirror and say, I regret telling my friend that went rogue on me. Okay, so Margaret should shut her big mouth. I never spread this rumor. This woman was adamant about getting this message to us. And yes, we did have it. We had no intention of bringing it up at reunion, by the way. Okay, nothing about Melissa. I mean, maybe about the friend, but nothing about Melissa. Teresa said that if anything, she would talk about it with her brother privately off camera, as it should be. I mean, you hear, I mean, I know my brother is a newlywed married. If somebody came to me and had firsthand account on how my brother's wife had cheated on him, I would tell my brother in private. I would tell my brother in private with no cameras and without his wife.
Right.
Just so, like, listen, I'm not telling you I believe this. I'm telling you this is what's out there. This is what Margaret is putting out there. Margaret put out the Jackie and Evan rumor. She did. It came from Tenafly. Teresa validated that it did. This friend validated that it did. The friend said, I heard it way before Teresa ever said it on camera. And she's willing to face Margaret and say it to her face to face. So why would she lie if she's willing to face this person that's saying all this? Okay, that's number one. Number two, this rumor about Jackie and Evan came from Margaret. My infidelity came from Margaret. Now this rumor about Melissa came from Margaret. It was showing a pattern. And it was showing that, like, it was really to tell Melissa, like, listen, I don't know if you should trust her. Like, I'm just telling you a word of advice. She told her friend this. And I did tell Melissa this before we started filming on a telephone conversation. And she was already aware of it because Joe had known from Louis. So she was like, we already know. And I told her I don't really want to talk about it on camera. It was more about the friend saying how Margaret talks about all of them, because Margaret didn't just talk about Melissa. She talked about Dolores. She talked about other instances with Jackie. She was just talking about how she was staying up at night researching us. She was telling us that she was planning on somebody saying that she knew a nurse at the hospital and the nurse was going to say some things about Bill. I mean, it was bananas what this woman was telling us. And I really didn't want to repeat it. I just wanted to let everybody know that this is her best friend of 40 years. And if she's saying all this stuff, like maybe we just need to like take it down a notch and not be so trusting when it comes to Margaret. I had no intentions of like waiting for the cameras to roll. It was more or less of, hey, you keep alluding that Margaret said something really, really bad. What is it that she said that was really, really bad? And I held on to it. I really didn't say it in the beginning. I didn't want to, because I was like, this is going to make me just as bad as them. Like you see in the scene when I'm FaceTiming Teresa when we're in my kitchen.
Right.
I said, we're not going to say it. I didn't have any intention. I don't want to hurt Melissa. This is not about hurting Melissa. I don't know this rumor to be true. This is 100% hearsay. I will say that, obviously, but there is a source. So go talk to the source. It's not like when Teresa came in and say, oh, I heard a rumor, but I forgot who told me. No, here I heard a rumor and it's this woman. And this woman is actually saying that it's Margaret, and she's willing to say it to anybody that wants to ask. So that was really the main purpose of all of it, not to hurt Melissa. I don't want to hurt Melissa. I don't want to hurt her family. I don't know anything about this rumor. I never met this person that they're alleging. That is not what this was about. It was always about just trying to let everybody know who Margaret is and what her true colors are.
The group was obviously divided. Do you think there is any possibility that we will all come together again?
There's always a possibility when people are willing to take accountability for their actions. Every single action that we do all have consequences.
Yeah.
Okay. And I react off people's actions. So, and like I said multiple times, I don't instigate, I retaliate. Okay. I'm never the first one to throw the punch. I'm always the one extending the olive branch, and then they break it. So there's only so much that I can do.
Dolores, where do you stand with her? What even is your fight about? A lot of fans just don't even understand what's going on between the two of you.
Listen, the ultimate fight happened when I had issues with the way that she was treating me, and her not wanting to acknowledge that, and her rebutting me with more confrontation. So it came up with me just telling her how I was feeling, and her response was almost like, all right, like, I don't give a shit. And what I was feeling is that she didn't give a shit. So when I told her how I felt and her response is, I don't give a shit, it was almost like, you're almost like validating everything that I have issue with. And I was just really just trying to get her to be understanding and say like, Jen, I love you. Will you cut it out? Like, that is so not it. And I did not want to hurt your feelings. That's not what I got. Obviously, you guys all saw. It was like, I don't care for her. And in my life, when somebody has issues with, like, if somebody I don't care for, like somebody that's in my circle that I don't really care for, starting to come up with like, well, you treat me this way, you treat me this way. My response to them when I don't care for them is, well, all right, you don't need to be my friend then.
But where do you guys stand today? Because we did talk to her a couple of weeks ago, and she did say that you reached out and tried to make amends with her after that scene.
Well, I apologized.
Yeah.
I apologized because I don't regret anything that happened that I said. The only thing that I regret that I said was insulting her, because that was not necessary. It's one thing when we're talking about our feelings, and obviously you saw I was in an emotional state.
Right.
I was like, because I was basically pulling teeth to try to get something that I needed for closure, and she just didn't want to give it to me. And I felt that her not wanting to give it to me was basically her trying to tell me that she didn't care to be my friend. So I was hurt. I was very emotional. I was like, okay, you know what? And I said all those mean things, and then just calling her the like mean slur at the
leather bag.
Yeah. Old bag. I think Dolores is beautiful. I'm so glad that we are in a better place right now. And for me, it's like, I'm going to, from now on, and I told her, from now on, when you do things that bother me, I'm not going to let it fester. I'm going to tell you in the moment when it bothers me, so that I don't let it snowball into something that like repeats last year.
Obviously, you alluded to Margaret, and you alluded to the fact that she brought up those very old cheating allegation, Bill's past happened years ago. Where do you and Bill stand today? Because we did see that, there's some conversations that are being teased throughout the season, and some of the women are talking about your marriage, which I can't imagine feels good.
This is the thing. I have my husband and I, we portray our real relationship on camera. Okay. We are in a real marriage. And if you are in a real marriage, you will know that it is constant compromise. It is constantly trying to meet somebody halfway and trying to navigate a life together as like someone being your 50%, right? So it's work. It's work. And sometimes it's great. Like Bill is an awesome, awesome man. He's a wonderful father. He's a good husband. He's given like, he's sacrificed so much to be at work, to give us this beautiful life. And yet he shows up for me on this show where basically I let all his dirty secrets out and I acknowledge them without his consent, by the way. Like, he just thought that I denied it when I left Teresa's party that night. When we were walking towards the car, I said, Margaret knows. She said it. She said it on camera. She said it. And he said, what did they say when you denied it? So I just ambushed my husband into saying, well, actually, I didn't deny it. I said it. And he struggled with the fact that I feel that you shared this story because it was my infidelity and not yours. So I struggle with that. And yet he still shows up for me. He still is fist pumping and high-fiving it with everybody for me. Okay. And to me, that speaks volumes. Okay. He shows up. I don't have to check with him to do anything. I don't have to check with him when I want to make a purchase or go get my Botox or filler. You know how many patients we have that say our husbands can't know? I have no secrets from my husband and he has no secrets from me. So if that is a downward spiral of a marriage, then so be it.
No,
we have issues. We have issues. And
as every married couple does. Hello.
Yes, and we had the guts enough to share them on camera with the audience.
Right.
And we talked about very difficult things where most people on reality TV that I've had experience with say those things in private and they don't share their real lives on camera. So it's not an easy thing to do. And he did it for me. And even that in itself shows me how he keeps trying for this marriage. And as long as he keeps trying, I'm going to keep trying. And we're going to be doing the best we can till death do us part. We are committed to the commitment. So as much as Margaret would love for me to leave my unhappy marriage, it's not going to happen.
Before I let you go, I do want to talk about all the work that you're doing in Turkey.
Yes,
so important. Tell us a little bit about that.
Really about it. Well, I was obviously the week that the earthquake happened, thousands and thousands of people died, misplaced, families lost. They're literally living in the apocalypse right now. There's dead bodies everywhere. And it's such a mass area geographically that there are so many pockets of people that have not been tended to. And they are on social media saying, where is all the help? Where is everybody? They're literally homeless, living on the street. In an instant, the earthquake happened and they ran out with literally just the slippers and the clothes on their back. Some of them not even grabbing cell phones. So we need tents. They need, like, people have been donating their clothes, and as appreciative as we are, we don't need your old ball gowns. What we need is blankets, tents, sleeping bags, socks, food, unperishables, propane heaters, and all of this is going to take money. So I collaborated with the mayor of Paterson, and they developed a nonprofit website. It's the njearthquakerelief.org. You could sponsor a tent that has flooring, and I'm talking something substantial where a family and even an extended family could stay, is just $150. You could just sponsor a tent, go to njearthquakerelief.org, donate $150 and put tent. We need to pay it forward. We need to find a way to, because I'm Turkish. These are my people. And I have family in Istanbul, and I'm grateful that Istanbul was not hurt, but the southeastern parts of Turkey were not so lucky. Those are all the villages that my parents were born and raised in, completely destroyed. So there's like no chance of me ever going there to ever visit and seeing the place where my parents were raised. Like for me, this is personal. And I have so many Turkish people sending me their footage and saying, please help. So if I could be a voice and try to generate money to buy them the supplies that they need, then that's what I'm going to do. So it's the njearthquakerelief.org.